and those who are familiar with these videos will know that I'm in a car park just across from the AXA Training Centre, where I'll be spending the next few Fridays. I say the next few Fridays, the next few months, every Friday, and a lot in between as well, actually, because proper matches are back, aren't they? And of course that means press conferences and us hearing from Arne Slot ahead of every Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League assignment that Liverpool will have this season. Now, of course, this one, today's press conference, was for the Community Shield, which is against Crystal Palace at Wembley this Sunday. But as usual with these press conferences, and if you're new to these videos, you just recently subscribed, you'll get used to this idea that particularly when the transfer window is open, there's not a lot of talk about the match itself in the press conference. So loads to get into from this one, and a lot of it is transfer related, as you would expect from a press conference that is in the transfer window. And he was asked about, of course, Arne Slot. This has to be the first question, doesn't it? Are there plans for any more incomings for Liverpool in the remainder of this summer transfer window? And his quote on that was, "It's the same boring answer. I'm really happy with the players that we have." Now, we are so used to that with Arne Slot playing his cards close to his chest. He did that all through his debut season with the contract situations. Any questions about transfer, he played with a straight bat, didn't he? So he's still going to take that same tack in this season. But of course, we don't just leave it there at one question, do we? We don't get put off that easily. You've got to ask more. You've got to try and dig and see if you can get any crumb of information out of Arne Slot. So we absolutely did try that. And he was asked about the possibility of Darwin Núñez leaving the club soon, and that then opening up the possibility of maybe a striker coming in to replace him. Of course, we are talking about the potential for Liverpool to sign Alexander Isak, and he did say in response to that specific question, you don't talk about players that are not yours. And he also suggests, so obviously not a surprise really, he doesn't want to talk about Isak at the moment with where that situation's up to. And he did also say that things aren't signed yet for Darwin Núñez to become an Al Hilal player, although he has been given the go-ahead to undergo a medical and go through kind of the formalities of that move. So it does seem that it's very, very quick in coming, or soon to be sorted out, but not quite there yet as far as the manager's concerned. So he didn't want to talk about Núñez leaving yet, and he didn't want to talk about Alexander Isak as a potential replacement. But we did get something out of him in terms of his attacking options and his plans to maybe add to those in the transfer market. And he was asked about his current options. Is he happy with what he's got in the front line? And he said, we already have a lot of attacking power in our team. Gakpo, Chiesa, Ekitike, Salah, Wirtz, Frimpong. We have options, but we are also looking in the market. So clearly he's leaving the door open there. I mean, he's mentioning Chiesa there, who we expect to depart before this transfer window closes, and he is leaving the door open for further additions. And of course, as we know, Liverpool are chasing Alexander Isak at the moment. They're just waiting for Newcastle to kind of sort a few things out around a replacement. And then we do expect them to go firmly back in with another bid. So he's leaving that door open for Liverpool to do that, and we'll see how things develop. Then maybe eventually we'll be able to get him to talk about Alexander Isak when he does, or if he does, become a Liverpool player. In terms of his attacking options, actually an interesting answer I thought here about the depth there. And he was asked about AFCON and the way that that's going to affect his team, because of course Mohamed Salah will go midway through the season to represent Egypt at AFCON, and the possibility he misses as many as 6 games, that would be the maximum. And he was asked if that's something they've thought about in terms of the depth in attacking positions and what they're going to do there. And he said that yes, obviously it's something we've thought about a lot. And he mentioned Jeremy Frimpong as an option there, which, as much as he's been signed, I think people see him as a signing to kind of replace Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. But he is very much, and this was the brief from Liverpool at the point at which he signed, that he is very much seen as an attacking option as well. And we've seen that in pre-season. He has been used in that advanced role, so expecting a lot of him there. And I think he's going to have a big role to play when Salah goes away. He's, the most natural right winger of all the options Liverpool have if Salah isn't there. So I do think we are going to see an awful lot of Frimpong there. He also mentioned Florian Wirtz as an attacking option as well when he was going through that list, and I think that is, as well, is interesting. My personal feeling on that is that he is going to have to do bits in the front line this season, particularly if they just leave it at Alexander Isak and they don't add more, because that will leave you with 4 senior options, then Rio Ngumoha, won't it? Which I think will, is that enough? Is that enough for a rotation? I think you're going to have to ask Wirtz at points to maybe play in that front line, particularly because it takes some of the ease away in terms of giving minutes to other midfielders as well. If you had Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch were basically nailed down last season, but if you can't just pull one of those out completely and not play them anymore because you've signed Wirtz. So I think a way around that is to maybe put Wirtz in the front line from time to time. Gives you that depth on the left, takes away a little bit of the demands on Ngumoha as well, doesn't it? So I think Frimpong and Wirtz, I don't think he's kind of paying lip service there or trying to be clever in his answer. I do genuinely believe that they are seen as options, whether Alexander Isak signs or not. I think they are going to have to do bits in that front line this season. But of course, I think the one area that fans are most worried about in the remainder of the transfer market, in terms of seen as an oversight in Liverpool's business so far, it's the one that you guys are all commenting about regularly on my videos as well, is what's going on at centre-back. It is such a big one for supporters, this. You maybe won't like Slot's answer on this when he was asked about it, because he talks about Endo, Robertson, Gravenberch, their ability to play there. And he did also say, which I think is good news by the way, that Gomez's injury is only a minor one and he's expected back very, very soon. But of course, like I say, talking up those midfielders or fullbacks as options at centre-half, it makes it look like Liverpool are maybe kind of resting on the laurels and they're going to go into the season with just the 3 senior options there. But I have to say, I don't expect that. I think it's just another case of Slot playing his cards close to his chest. Liverpool, very much as I understand it, still in the mix for Marc Guéhi. If they can't get Marc Guéhi, although as the pressure ramps up on Crystal Palace towards the end of the window, that becomes more and more likely, or certainly easier to get him out of there. But if they can't get him, as I've said before, they'll pivot back to that younger centre-half options. Nyoni at Parma is one of those, but there are other ones out there. Kouliarakis at Wolfsburg is one that they've been keeping an eye on as well. So we'll kind of see what they do there. What I would say on this is, I don't think it's time to worry just yet about Liverpool doing business in this position. They're only going to need, to play once a week, aren't they, at the very start of the season? So depth is not massively crucial at that point at centre-half, particularly as Konate and Van Dijk are fit. They will play in the Community Shield at the weekend. But I still believe that Liverpool will get a centre-half in. I think that's the expectation around the club as well. So not maybe one to worry about. And don't get too worried about Slot mentioning Endo and Robertson and Gravenberch playing big roles there, because I think they may have to fill in from time to time, but I also think Liverpool are going to sign a centre-half as well. And just to wrap up as well, one thing I want to talk about, big talking point from pre-season, he was asked about Rio Ngumoha and Trey Nyoni and the role that they've played in pre-season, how impressive they've been. And he was asked about kind of having those senior options in the forward line, and he said, look, a player like Rio showed that at a senior level he can have an impact as well. He believes, and he spoke about Rio Ngumoha and Trey Nyoni being able to play once a week. They're maybe not physically capable to play twice at a high level every 3 days, but he does think that once a week, and I just think it shows that their involvement in pre-season wasn't just a case of trying to fill the squad out or just using the youngsters for the sake of it. I do genuinely think they've got a role to play in the first team this season. I think, judging from what Arne Slot has said there, he very much sees it as that as well. And particularly with Ngumoha, despite the fact he's 16, he turns 17 at the end of this month. I do really think we're going to see him pick up significant minutes this season, which is exciting, I think, because he looks an unbelievable talent, doesn't he? So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. Very much looking forward to Liverpool being back in real action, because this is an actual competitive one. You might want to call the Community Shield a glorified friendly, but it is a real game, isn't it? And there's a trophy at stake, so very much looking forward to that. And of course, I will be back for my post-match review, so looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully we're talking about a Liverpool winning. In the meantime, let me know your comments on all the talking points in the press conference. What about the use of the youngsters? How does this summer window end for Liverpool? I want to hear all your thoughts on that, and if you can like and subscribe, that's massively appreciated as well. And I'll see you guys very soon.